Circuit Court Division CRD is now in session. The Honorable Judge Mark Farrello is presiding. There will be no talking while court is in session. Please ensure that all cell phones and any electronic devices you have are turned off. You may be seated.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Carlisle.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Police court called the case of Lonna Barton on the morning calendar. We do have a proposed disposition for the court. There is a written plea form to decide are guilty to the court. Counts 2 and 3 as charged. Obviously, count 1 is a sort of a mirror copy of count 2. It is simply a different theory of the same crime. The only terms of that agreement are that the defendant is pleading guilty straight to the court. The court will be free to impose any lawful sentence at a sentencing hearing to be set by the court, and the defendant is required to provide truthful testimony in the matters related to the co-defendant. There are current charges obviously pending in Baker County, and this agreement does not address, is not intended to address, and will not address any of those. Those remain pending, will be handled in Baker County. The defendant does not score mandatory prison, so the court will be free to impose any lawful sentence.
Mr. Carlisle.
Your Honor, at this time, in case number 2015 CS 7314, Ms. Barton was shown to withdraw previously and pleads not guilty, and her pleas of guilty to counts 2 and 3. As Mr. Mann has advised the court, this is kind of a modified new form, or this is a plea to the court. However, she just be pleading guilty to counts 2 and 3, and she agrees that she will provide truthful testimony in the case of the state of Florida versus William Reuben E. Brown Jr. if she's called by either the state or the defense, and that the state agrees that counts 2 and 3 will be willing and concurrent. Your Honor, within the court costs of 516 and 150 in anticipation that it could change depending on the outcome of the case.
Will it either be 516 or 518?
Yes, sir.
Raise your right hand, ma'am. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Barton, you can put your hand down. Your name is Lonna Barton. You've heard what your attorney has said, that you wish to enter pleas of guilty to the third-degree felony of child neglect. The maximum punishment for that would be 5 years in prison, and the first-degree misdemeanor of giving false information to a law enforcement officer, the maximum punishment for that would be 1 year in jail. Is that what you wish to do, is plead guilty to those charges? Have you had enough time to speak to your attorney about what you're doing this morning? And for the rest of the questions that I want to ask you, I would appreciate either a yes, Your Honor, or no, Your Honor, or yes, sir, or no, sir. Do we understand each other? All right. Are you under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or any substance or condition this morning which would affect your ability to think clearly this morning? Has anybody threatened you, coerced you, or promised you anything to get you to enter this plea this morning? You understand you have the right to plead not guilty and make the state prove your guilt in a court of law. You can have a jury trial, cross-examine the state's witnesses, bring in witnesses on your behalf, have an attorney represent you, and you're giving up those rights. Do you understand that? Did I ask you if you were satisfied with the advice that your attorney was giving you in this case? All right, thank you. State, give me a factual basis, please.
Your Honor, as reflected in the arrest and booking report as to counts 2 and 3 in Duval County, state of Florida, during the period between July 20th through and continuing August 15, 2015, this defendant was the mother of several children, the one in particular as it relates to this case. I'll use his initials, AB. This defendant did, as reflected again in the arrest and booking report documenting this and in the court file, while being aware that the child had some injuries, nonetheless left him with a co-defendant whom she knew was not going to medically seek attention to address those injuries, in addition to which She also knew that he was involved in the narcotics trade and maintained narcotics on the premises and in the premises where he would be supervising the children and routinely did so, and also allowed her co-defendant to essentially supervise this child as well as others, failing to therefore protect him from neglect by the co-defendant, as well as engaging them themselves. Subsequently, when initially questioned by police officers as it relates to the alleged discipline, when the co-defendant called police to report the disappearance of that child, this defendant made false statements to the initial officer that she encountered as to her relationship to both the co-defendant and the child.
Court does find a factual basis exists for the entry of the plea. Is there any DNA evidence known to exist which would exonerate the defendant?
Not in the state, Your Honor.
None of the defense, Your Honor.
And Ms. Barton, you're pleading guilty to these charges because you are guilty of these charges?
Yes,
Ms. Barton, you are a citizen of the United States? You understand if you were not a citizen of the United States, the entry of this plea could subject you to deportation. And you understand that if these were sexually motivated offenses, or if you've previously been convicted of sexually motivated offenses, that the entry of these pleas could subject you to a civil commitment at the end of your sentence. Do you understand that? How far did you go in school? High school? So you can read, right? Did you read and go over with your attorney this white form entitled Plea of Guilty? I believe it has, how many pages?
3 pages.
3 pages. All right, this 3-page form, did you read all 3 pages? Did you understand, go over with your attorney? Did you understand everything on this form? Do you have any questions about anything on this form? And is that your signature at the bottom of the form? And you understand you're pleading guilty what's basically called straight up to the court. In other words, there's no negotiations with the state. If I accept your plea, we would order a pre-sentence investigation, pass your case approximately 1 month for sentencing to get the pre-sentence investigation. At that time, we would have a sentencing hearing. I would listen to a recommendation from the state, to a recommendation from you and your attorney, and any witnesses that you wish to present in mitigation on your behalf, and then I would decide on what an appropriate sentence would be. You understand that? Has anybody promised you and said to you, well, if you plead guilty to the court, the judge will give you this amount of time or that amount of time? Has anybody said anything to you like that? The court does find that Ms. Barton's plea is freely and voluntarily entered with a full understanding of the nature and consequences of the plea. Therefore, I accept your plea of guilty in count 2 to the third-degree felony of child neglect, and in count 3 to the first-degree misdemeanor of giving false information to a law enforcement officer. We will order a pre-sentence investigation in this case, which takes approximately 4 to 5 weeks. So, you want to do 4 weeks from next Monday to be set?
That's fine.
That'll be fine, Your Honor.
Madam Clerk?
It will be on February 1st.
We'll pass Ms. Barton's case until February 1st for sentencing to be set. And one additional matter that I neglected to go over with you, Ms. Barton, I understand that you have some other pending charges in Baker County. Is that correct, Mr. Carlisle?
That's correct.
And as I understand it, the entry of this plea does not affect the status of those charges, and there's been no promises made in terms of this case being affected by the outcome of that case. Is that right?
That is correct.
Mr. Van
It is, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Barton, you understand that as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Carlisle?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Van
No, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. We'll see everybody on February the 1st at 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.